We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. India's free trade deal with European Free Trade Association takes effect from today. Deal signed last year promises $100 billion investment over 15 years, projected to create 1 million jobs in India. US braces for government shutdown at 400 GMT deadline after senators failed to pass last-minute funding bill. Trump warns Democrats of irreversible actions.
They are shutting it down. We're not shutting it down. We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever.
In Philippines, at least 22 people killed, 37 injured in a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake. Search and rescue operation underway amid power outages and damaged buildings. And India kicks off the Women's World Cup campaign with a 59-run victory over Sri Lanka in a rain-shortened match in Guwahati. Well, today marks a new chapter in India's diplomacy. The much-awaited free trade agreement between India and the four-nation European bloc, EFTA, has come into force. Now, the deal signed last year promises major investment, job creation and greater market access. Our correspondent Akhilesh Suman has more details.
The Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, TIPA, with the European Free Trade Associations is a landmark in India's global outreach. Signed on March 10, 2024, it comes into effect after 16 years and 21 rounds of negotiations. At its core is US $100 billion investment pledge over 15 years, projected to create over 1 million jobs in India. The pact opens new opportunities for Indian farmer, gems and jewelry, textiles, machinery, and IT services.
Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement with the EFTA countries is a comprehensive agreement which covers not just trade in goods and services, but also intellectual property rights, competition, and also government procurement. EFTA countries are important trade and economic partners of India. They had invested about 12 billion in the Indian market, and Norway's pension fund also separately invested about 25 billion in the Indian market. Since these countries are also very much part of the European Economic Area, so overall, this is an important agreement for both for the European countries and also for India.
To safeguard domestic interests, India has kept dairy, farm products and gold outside the purview of this agreement, but Indian exporters will gain new tariff advantages in EFTA markets.
Out of these four countries, Switzerland, Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway, Switzerland is the biggest trading partner to India among those four, and I think it will definitely benefit Indians and the Swiss because it will ease imports of certain goods. In general, I think this agreement is probably, especially if you look at the other free trade agreement with the European Union, it's of psychological importance because it's good that these four countries now managed to make a deal because we all know that for a very long time India and the EU were not able to come to a conclusion.
The agreement is also historic. It includes a sustainability clause, binding both sides to uphold labor rights and environmental standards. Bilateral trade is now projected to rise to US $55 to 60 billion annually. With new tariff schedules in place, ports and airports are fast-tracking consignments, giving exporters an early edge under the new regime.
The implementation of free trade agreement between India and four European nations, Norway, Switzerland, Iceland and Liechtenstein, sets a template how cooperation can be established between countries who think alike and set the ball rolling for other countries too. It can be a model for cooperation. Akhilesh Suman for DD India in Delhi.
Well, the US government is on the brink of shutdown after the last-ditch Senate vote failed. The 55 to 45 vote in the Senate, falling short of the 60 votes needed to advance the legislation, has ensured that U.S. government agencies will have to discontinue all but essential activities such as law enforcement. The White House Office of Management and Budget has issued a memorandum confirming that the government will indeed shut down at Wednesday midnight and blamed the Democrats for the impasse. Now, this is America's 15th government shutdown since 1981. According to a White House memo, the affected agencies should now execute their plans for an orderly shutdown. However, it is unclear how long Democrats will maintain their untenable posture, making the duration of the shutdown difficult to predict. Now, regardless, the employees should report to work for their next regularly scheduled tour of duty to undertake orderly shutdown activities. And hours ago, when asked about the potential government shutdown, the US President Trump told the journalist that it's not inevitable, but it does seem likely to happen. He also threatened mass, irreversible firings of federal workers if a shutdown happens. Now, he added that he and Republicans are the last ones who want a government shutdown. Trump said Democrats were taking a risk in their negotiations over the shutdown, adding that the Trump administration can cut the benefits it pays out.
They are shutting it down. We're not shutting it down. We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you, we have $17 trillion being invested, so the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse.
Well, a potential U.S. government shutdown threatens to disrupt critical federal services and exacerbate existing challenges in recruiting and retaining federal employees. Now, the president of the National Federation of Federal Employees, Randy Irwin, criticized the administration's treatment of federal employees, citing intimidation, terminations, and political interference as factors undermining morale and recruitment.
Well, you know, the American people really benefit from having a talented, highly qualified federal workforce. It already is a tremendous challenge to be able to recruit and retain the necessary talent that we need to do all the important work. Federal employees make 25% less than people in the private sector doing the exact same jobs, which puts the federal government at a real disadvantage.
Well, the looming shutdown would furlough hundreds of thousands of federal workers deemed non-essential and halt operations across numerous agencies, including the Internal Revenue Service, the Pentagon, and federal courts. Now, generally, in a shutdown, essential workers continue as normal, some without pay, but government employees deemed non-essential are temporarily put on unpaid leave. Also, the shutdown would also disrupt the publication of key U.S. economic data, including employment and GDP reports, and affect agencies responsible for approving small business loans and disaster recovery funding. Also, essential services such as Social Security payments, air traffic control, and border security would continue, although many workers would do so without pay. National Federation of Federal Employees warned of long-term repercussions for the civil service.
Somebody knows what your politics are. There are political witch hunts happening in this government that never happened before. And so they're not, when that happens, they're not serving the American people, they're serving their political interests or what have you. And, it's going to be hard to convince a whole generation of people that would want to work for the American people. We're going to be over 300,000 federal employees will have been lost after today since the start of this Trump administration. And we don't know what our functionality of government looks like with that level of staff.
Well, it is unclear as to how long a shutdown could last. However, the economists have warned that pressure would mount to reopen the government if a stoppage lasted for 2 weeks, threatening missed paychecks. Now, in the past, there have been several shutdowns where operations were hit for more than one business day, including one lasting 35 days around December 2018 and January 2019 during the first Trump administration. That shutdown, also the most recent, was the longest in U.S. history. Moreover, there are major concerns of U.S. government shutdown impacting the country's economy. Economists say that a shutdown could reduce GDP growth by 0.2 percentage points for each week it lasts. A shutdown would also cut the flow of economic data supporting policy decisions and assessments on the economic outlook. A key concern is the closely watched government report on employment, which is due on Friday. The Department of Labour is set to pause its publication and others if a shutdown occurs. Now, while financial markets are not usually hit hard in a shutdown, the situation could get noisier without signals from fresh economic data. And for more, we have Akshay Dongre joining us on this. Well, Akshay, US has experienced repeated government shutdowns earlier also, like this being the 15th since 1981. What does this latest shutdown reveal about the current state of bipartisan negotiations in Congress, and how might this political dysfunction impact the long-term governance? Because it's unclear as to how long the shutdown could last.
Well, that's the biggest concern, in fact, Lipakshi, that we are not clear that till what time this shutdown is going to continue. But as far as the basics of this shutdown is concerned, for the benefit of our viewers, the shutdown usually happens, around this time in the month of September, starting the month of October, because the fiscal year in the US starts from 1st October, and before this, the government of the US, that includes the Democrats and the Republicans, come to an agreement about the spending of their budget and allocation of budget in different sectors. If there is a disagreement between the two, and there is no leveling between the two parties, especially the senators and the lawmakers there in the Congress, then it can potentially lead to a shutdown like what we are seeing today. So midnight on, the shutdown will be in effect as far as US is concerned from 1st of October, and the kind of bipartisan ridge that has been growing in the US politics, it seems that this shutdown is going to be a serious one, because there are fundamental issues where the two parties differ on as far as spending is concerned. We have seen that on this issue of funding, there were major rifts that were created even among the businessmen of the country. Trump has been, hammering in his ways of spending money, his ways of, in fact, the biggest example is the big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump boosted, and based on which he had a rift with even his closest ally, Elon Musk. So differences remain, and in the second term of Donald Trump, it seems that those differences have widened further. So there is no saying as to how exactly this impasse will come to an end, but it's not in the benefit of the world economy as well. If this shutdown continues, and if the fallout is on the larger US economy, which is already standing at the brink of recession, given the fact that there have been, to the entire global economy, there have been quite a lot of pressures that have been coming not only from war, but from different, aspects of disturbance that we are seeing in the geopolitical, porch.
Right. Akshay, you mentioned about the economic factor also. Given the disruption to federal services and the delay of the key economic data, for the sake of our viewers, Akshay, could you explain what could be the broader economic consequences of the shutdown, both domestically and internationally, if it extends beyond a few days?
Well, if there is a shutdown, many a times what happens, if it extends further, like it has happened in 2013, it has happened in the first term of Donald Trump, when there were disagreements and that led to a shutdown, disagreements over spending of money, spending of the budget, and that led to a shutdown. So the federal employees stopped getting their pays many a times. Many of the non-necessary funding stops. Many of the important program also stopped. who are not on the priority list of the government. So that leads to a larger fallout on the US economy. So if the US economy falters, and if it goes on for a longer time, then what happens is, the pressure, the trickle-down effect start to kick in. Companies start to lose their customers, spending decreases. Many a times there is a lot of pressure that builds on the economy. And like I said, US economy already is facing a lot of pressure, especially on the agriculture front. They have been trying to sell soybean to China. They have been trying to force their way in agriculture products to the rest of the world, because huge piles of agricultural products are sitting there, lying waiting to be sold off, or not being bought from other by other countries. For example, corn is being forced to India. Soybean was being projected as as a viable. China was being seen as a viable purchaser of the US soy. So all of these things combined can lead to an economic turmoil in the US. Long term, it can lead to a recession-like situation, which is not going to be good for the world economy in general as well. Back to you, Lipa.
Also, Akshay, if you talk about Trump's statements, President Trump has been warning the Democrats of irreversible actions and mass firings of federal workers.
Well, that is what happens usually if in a situation of this kind of a shutdown. The first blame goes on to from the government side is on the other party, the second party, that because of the two-party system in the US. So if Republicans are in power, they blame the Democrats. When Democrats are in power, they blame the Republicans for stalling the bills, stalling the budget reallocations, all of that. So this was on expected lines. Donald Trump is going to blame the Democrats for the failure of the government as of now. But a similar kind of blames are going to be leveled against Donald Trump as well by the Democrats. So it's going to be a situation of quite a lot of turmoil as far as the economy of the US is concerned. Back to you, Lipa.
Absolutely a situation of turmoil. Thank you so much, Akshay, for explaining that so much in detail. And moving on, the Dow finished at a fresh record on Tuesday as markets largely shrugged off the likelihood of a partial US government shutdown due to a stalemate on budget talks. Now, while Tuesday's gains were modest, the benchmark S&P 500 and the tech-heavy Nasdaq and the Dow all gained for the second quarter in a row. For the S&P 500 and the Dow, it also marked their fifth straight monthly gain, while the Nasdaq registered its sixth straight monthly gain. Major US equity indices veered in and out of negative territory throughout the day before finishing in the black. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up by 0.2% at 46,397.89, a new record. Analysts say a shutdown will not significantly affect the US economy unless it is prolonged. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Zelensky warns of critical risk at Russian-held Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as power lines remain down. Trump announces Pfizer deal to slash Medicaid drug prices, launch Trump RX consumer sales platform. And UNSC expands Haiti mission into gang suppression force amid deepening crisis.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. Lipak Shikuran. And moving on, at least 31 people have been killed following a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake in the Philippines, marking one of the country's most devastating disasters this year. Now, the earthquake that struck off the coast of Cebu City in the Philippines' central Visayas region led to power outages and damage to buildings in the region. Earthquake monitoring agencies had pegged the depth of the quake at around 10 kilometers and recorded multiple aftershocks, the strongest having a magnitude of 6. Another monitoring agency said there was no tsunami threat following the quake. Search and rescue operation underway amid power outages and damaged buildings. The Philippines lies in the Pacific Ring of Fire, where volcanic activity and earthquakes are very common. And European Union leaders will discuss proposals for a drone wall to protect the continent at a summit on Wednesday in Copenhagen. Now, this comes just days after airspace intrusions by unidentified unmanned aircraft forced a temporary closure of Danish airports. The summit will also be the first opportunity for leaders of the EU's 27 countries to debate a proposal to use Russian assets frozen in Europe to fund a loan of 140 billion euros to Ukraine. Now, France, Germany, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands, Britain, Finland and Ukraine have committed troops and anti-drone systems to help Denmark protect the leaders. Many of them have accused Russia of brazen violations of European airspace with the recent incursions by drones over Poland and fighter jets over Estonia. Now, Russia has, however, denied responsibility for the drones over Denmark. And Romania hopes to quickly set up production on its territory of defensive drones with Ukraine for domestic use as well as by European Union and NATO allies. Now, Foreign Minister Oana Toiu said in an interview that talks with Ukraine began before a spate of airspace incursions that the region has blamed on Russia in recent weeks. Now, Romania, which borders Ukraine, hosts a number of U.S. troops and plans to invest over $2.9 billion into its Mihail Koganice-Inu air base in the coming years, expanding its capacity to accommodate 10,000 Romanian and allied troops. Well, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine has now been without off-site power for 6 days. With the situation getting critical, UN Atomic Watchdog's chief Rafael Grossi said that the agency is engaging with both sides of the military conflict to restore off-site power to power plant as soon as possible, while the IAEA said the external power line supplying the plant came down last week for the 10th time in the conflict and emergency diesel generators were brought into service. Now, the lines supply electricity vital to cooling its reactors' fuel and preventing a meltdown. Also, Europe's largest nuclear power plant with 6 reactors has been under Russian control since the early weeks of the war, and each side has repeatedly accused the other of shelling it and jeopardizing nuclear safety. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed alarm over the situation, saying that Russian shelling is preventing restoration of the power line. Speaking in his nightly video address, he said one of the diesel generators providing emergency power was no longer working 7 days after external power lines went down.
For
the 7th day and previously, this had not happened. There is an emergency situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The situation is critical. Due to Russian shelling, the plant is disconnected from the power grid and is being supplied electricity by diesel generators. This is extraordinary. The generators and the plant were never designed to operate in this mode for so long. And we already have information that one of the generators has failed.
And Britain's Princess Anne, the late Queen Elizabeth's only daughter, visited Ukraine to express her solidarity with the children and families enduring the impact of the conflict. Anne met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during a visit to Kyiv, where they discussed Britain's ongoing support for Ukraine, among other issues. The royal also paid her respects at a memorial honoring the children who have died since the start of the conflict in February 2022. And I also spoke with Ukrainian children who have been displaced or deported by Russia, and she visited a rehabilitation center where she met veterans returning from the front line. And US President Donald Trump on Tuesday announced his administration had reached a deal with the Harvard University after months of negotiations, and that the school will pay $500 million. Now, Trump told reporters in the White House that the deal with Harvard was imminent, even as his administration announced a new effort to squeeze the university's finances.
Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's so fantastic, and I guess we reached a deal with Harvard today, so we'll see how that, all you have to do is paper it, right, Linda? Just
yes, sir.
Paper it out. That'll be great, though. It's going to have to do with something that's very important to everybody.
Meanwhile, in the latest move in the White House's multi-pronged assault on Harvard, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced on Monday that it was referring the university for disbarment, laying the path for the administration to block Harvard from receiving any future federal grants or contracts. Well, Harvard has 20 days from the date of the announcement to notify the department whether it will exercise its right to a hearing. Also, Harvard has not confirmed the settlement, and it remains unclear whether the terms outlined by the president match any agreement the university has considered. And US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said Pfizer will cut the price of all prescription drugs in the Medicaid program for low-income Americans and sell new prescription drugs at a most favored nation price in exchange for tariff relief. Now, Trump also said he expects other drug makers to follow suit. He made the announcement in the Oval Office with Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others. Also, Pfizer is the first drug company to announce a deal, and Bourla also announced a $70 billion push on research and development and domestic manufacturing. Well, Trump sent letters to 17 leading drug companies in July telling them to slash drug prices to match those paid overseas. He asked them to respond with binding commitments by September 29th. The White House is also planning to unveil a direct-to-consumer website for Americans to buy drugs called Trump RX. Pfizer will launch sales of some of its drugs directly to consumers through that website. And the United Nations Security Council has voted to expand an international security force deployed to Haiti and transform it into a so-called gang suppression force. The resolution passed by the Council on Tuesday provides a clear mandate for the force to work with local authorities to neutralize, isolate and deter gangs. It would raise the personnel ceiling from 2,500 in the current mission, first approved in 2023, to 5,550 personnel. Russia, China and Pakistan abstained from the vote on the measure put forward by the United States and Panama. The remaining 13 Council members voted in favor. Also, the new force will still rely on voluntary contributions of personnel and funding, but the leadership structure will be different. It will be led by a group of representatives from countries that have contributed personnel, plus US and Canada. The force will also be supported by a new UN field office. The resolution also requests that the UN Secretary General establish a UN support office in Haiti to provide increased logistical support amid overlapping security, humanitarian and political crises as well. And a military court in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has sentenced former President Joseph Kabila to death in absentia. Lieutenant General Joseph Motombo Katalai, who presided over the military tribunal, said on Tuesday that Kabila was convicted of various crimes, including treason, crimes against humanity, murder, sexual assault, torture and insurrection. Kabila, who served as president from 2001 to 2019, had left the DRC in 2023. Kabila went on trial in absentia in July for his alleged support for the Rwanda-backed rebels. and cleaning and drainage work were in full swings to clear flood water from the streets in a Mexico City suburb after one of the heaviest rainfall event in decades. Heavy rains have caused damage and forced some residents to leave their homes after the water level reached about 1.1 meter level mark. Mexico witnessed one of the heaviest rainfall in decades on Saturday and the heaviest in the metropolitan area. That caused floods due to accumulated garbage and worn infrastructure. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. One of the most shocking snowfalls in recent years occurred in El Cocoy National Park, located between Yukon and Chita in Boyaca, Colombia. The event was considered unusual and surprising, especially given the ongoing trend of significant glacier and ice melt in the region due to climate change. The Moroccan city of Modic hosted the national fishing competition, which saw the participation of several fishing associations and more than 70 participants from various regions. Now, this event comes as part of efforts to promote sustainable tourism and develop marine sports by organizing environmental sports activities that contribute to boosting tourism and preserving marine resources. An important discovery shedding light on history has been made in the Amik Plain of Reyhanli district in Turkey. 5 districts' human footprints dating back approximately 7,000 years have been unearthed. According to experts, the footprints date of around 5200 BCE, the early Chalcolithic age. And still to come on India NewsHour. 9 migrant workers from Assam killed in the arch collapse at the Chennai thermal power station. Prime Minister expresses grief, announces ex gratia. India's Rights Limited signs MOU with Etihad Rail to boost mobility sector collaboration in UAE and international markets. An Embassy of India in Paris hosts student integration event to empower Indian youth to start new journeys with ease.
This week on Defence Dynamics, from the rails of India's heartland, Agni Prime raises, carrying a nuclear edge on the move. As the nation strengthens its shield with Anant Shastra QR SAM regiments, a new layer of defence takes shape. With the Kaveri D1 engine igniting India's aerospace dreams, the future of power is truly homegrown. This Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. India's free trade deal with the European Free Trade Association takes effect from today. Deal signed last year promises $100 billion investment over 15 years, projected to create 1 million jobs in India. US braces for government to shut down at 400 GMT deadline after senators failed to pass last-minute funding bill. Trump warns Democrats of irreversible actions. In Philippines, at least 31 people killed, 147 injured in a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake. Search and rescue operation underway in power outages and damaged buildings. And India kicks off the Women's World Cup campaign with a 59-run victory over Sri Lanka in a rain-shortened match in Guwahati. And moving on, 9 migrant workers from Assam lost their lives and 1 sustained serious injuries when scaffolding collapsed at the Ennore CEZ thermal power project site near Ponary on Tuesday. The workers were building a concrete arch for the 1,320 megawatt Ennore CEZ thermal power station when the scaffolding erected over 20 feet high gave way. Fellow workers rushed to rescue the injured and shifted them to Government Stanley Hospital. Unfortunately, 9 succumbed to their injuries en route, while 1 remains under treatment. Kattur police have registered a case and initiated an investigation. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the incident and announced ex gratia. In a social media post, he said, and I quote, "Saddened by the mishap due to the collapse of a building in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. My thoughts are with the affected people and their families in this difficult hour, praying for the speedy recovery of the injured. An ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees from PMNRF would be given to the next of kin of each deceased. The injured would be given 50,000 rupees. And for more from Chennai, we have Ritesh Ranjan joining us. Well, Ritesh, what is the situation there right now?
The situation, what I have got to know is 9 people dead, and they were brought dead to the hospital. And 20 feet high scaffold, the arch kind of structure they were building up, and in between only some what happened that it is yet to be inquired, because the investigating team, police team, is saying that we cannot say anything right now until the investigation is done. How this scaffold came down, that is to be inquired. 9 people brought to dead, and they were brought to Stanley Hospital, government hospital here in Chennai, and one is critically injured. He is under treatment. We have to wait for the police investigation to find out what actually happened there and why this thing happened. Because there's, the arch building there in North Port, there it was like actually 20 feet high from the ground, and more than 20 workers were working there. And according to my information, 10 fallen down from the arch when they were working. And one was the one person, he somehow actually holded that steel structure, and later on the rescue team were able to save him and bring him down. So
right.
9.
Right, Ritesh. Given the frequency of the construction-related accidents in Tamil Nadu, especially in the Chennai region, what are the local authorities doing to enforce safety norms at large project sites like Ennore says?
As you said, so many incidents recently we have seen. In fact, last December also in Salem district, same power plant, power corporation had this incident where 5 people were died. So these kind of incidents are happening, and local authorities. In fact, I spoke to J. Radhakrishnan, who is a Tamil Nadu Power Corporation Development Chairman. He said all the safety arrangements were done. Safety gears were there given to the workers. But how it happened, what is the reason, still to be known. So we can only assume that what could have happened. But currently nothing can be said, and there's safety gears and safety equipments giving all these things. Why these kind of incidents are still happening? We have to take, we have to seriously think about it, because we are losing lives.
Right. Ritesh, also, what has been the response on the ground itself, and how's the treatment of the one injured going, and what about the working conditions at the project sites around Chennai?
Well, working condition and working site condition is really, you cannot say it's bad. It is good. And especially I have seen in Tamil Nadu, whether it is private or government, especially in government organization, government and private organization, they actually maintain law and order, and whatever safety equipments, safety guidelines have to be followed, they follow it, except little minor things. So in that case, we cannot say negligence part, but yeah, this incident happened, and recently we have seen many such incidents happen. So what is the reason why it is happening? It is actually the matter of concern, and we have to think that how we can stop it.
All right. Thank you so much, Ritesh, for all those updates from there. And in Manipur, intelligence-driven joint operations conducted by the Indian Army and Assam Rifles under Spear Corps in coordination with police led to significant counter-insurgency successes in the Hill and Valley districts of Tengonapal, Imphal East and Chandel. The operations resulted in the apprehension of 4 active militant cadres and the recovery of 8 weapons, along with narcotics and other warlike materials. Now, the security forces credited the success to precise intelligence inputs, meticulous planning and close civil-military coordination, reinforcing stability and safety in the region. Also, the officials highlighted that continued vigilance and joint operations remain key to neutralizing threats and maintaining peace in Manipur's sensitive areas. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the centenary celebrations of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh or RSS in New Delhi this morning. The centenary celebrations will highlight the legacy of the RSS, its cultural contributions and its role in the country's unity. Also on the occasion, the Prime Minister will release a specially designed commemorative postage stamp and coin highlighting the RSS contributions to the nation. RSS is a unique people-nurtured movement for national reconstruction. Its rise has been seen as a response to centuries of foreign rule, with its continuing growth attributed to the emotional resonance of its vision of India's national glory rooted in dharma. And moving on, President Draupadi Murmu honored the presidential bodyguards, the president's household cavalry and personal troops with a silver trumpet and trumpet banner on Tuesday. Now, the ceremony marks 75 glorious years since the unit was renamed. The event featured a mounted parade reviewed by the president herself. The presidential bodyguards presented a thrilling show jumping display showcasing their exceptional horse riding skills. Virat, the commandant's charger who retired in 2022, was also honored by President Murmu on this landmark occasion. Virat had previously been patted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Republic Day parade in 2022. And Rights Limited, India's leading transport infrastructure consultancy and engineering firm, has signed a memorandum of understanding with Etihad Rail to strengthen business collaboration in the mobility sector across the UAE and international markets. Now, the agreement was formalized at the Global Rail Transport Infrastructure Exhibition and Conference in Abu Dhabi, running from September 30th to October 2nd. The MOU was signed by Shadi Malak, CEO of Etihad Rail, Rahul Mittal, Chairman and Managing Director of Rights Limited. And under this partnership, Rights will collaborate with National Infrastructure Construction Company LLC, its subsidiary of Etihad Rail, to explore business opportunities in the region and beyond. Speaking at the event, Rahul Mittal highlighted the significance of the Indian Pavilion at the Global Rail Conference.
The pavilion showcases the strengths and experience of Indian Railways of more than 170 plus years and the varied experience of its CPSEs like DFC, IRCON and Rights. This partnership of sharing our experience with Etihad Rail would be a win-win situation as Etihad Rail grows. Rights also signed an MOU with Etihad Rail, further augmenting our close partnership, taking it forward.
And a new land, a new life, and 1,000 questions. The journey of a student abroad is never simple. To turn challenges into confidence, the Embassy of India in Paris and Global Indian Organization hosted a student integration event with more than 100 students joining in. The day became a bridge between dreams and reality, guiding young minds to begin their French chapter with ease and assurance. Report by Rohini Gosavi.
Any new country brings its own set of trouble and hassles for students. And when it comes to France, the challenges multiply with complex paperwork and language barriers. To ease this struggle, the Embassy of India, in collaboration with Global Indian Organization France, has organized a special guidance and integration sessions for new students.
Welcome all of you, young and bright minds from India, who have selected France as their destination for their academic year.
When you first arrive in Paris and when you come in France, you realize how different life is from Duolingo here.
This session aimed at providing step-by-step support to students as they begin their academic journey in France. Officials from the embassy and Mezodalan explained the various support mechanisms available to Indian nationals, especially during emergencies.
We encourage you to reach out to us directly without any hesitation.
There are many people who are passionately helping students here in France.
The sessions were designed not only to equip students with information, but also to build a sense of community, ensuring the help in their journey. Experts offered detailed guidance on essential topics such as finding suitable accommodation, completing documentation and administrative formalities, opening bank accounts, and accessing healthcare facilities.
We got almost every answers from them and also got some supporting help from them, because in case of any emergency we didn't know to whom we need to connect. So it was really helpful.
It was great. It covered all the basic information and everything you need to do. It was sort of like a mental checklist for me, and of course I made a to-do list after the event thinking on what I should do next.
The program also included interactive discussions where students could ask questions directly. Senior students and community members shared their personal experiences, giving practical advice on how to overcome everyday challenges and adapt quickly to French life. You are not alone. This assurance from the embassy and GIO has given students comfort, clarity and confidence to begin their new journey here in France. This is Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
Well, in the Netherlands, the Indian High Commission has been celebrating Seva Parv, the festival of service, from tree planting to community gatherings and even a unity run. 3 recent events highlighted the spirit of service and contribution. Let's take a look.
Seva Parv, the festival of service, is being marked across the world. In the Netherlands, it began with the planting of trees by the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Indian Embassy, a gesture of care for the future. The spirit of service also guided the Bharatiya First Conclave, where the community gathered to reflect on identity and responsibility.
Together we can ensure that in times to come, very soon, India stands as a beacon of progress, prosperity and global leadership.
The Bharatiya First Conclave 2025 brings together Indian minds, values and vision. And today, the Viksit Bharat Run brought people together in action, running for a stronger, united India.
Indian embassies are organizing this about 91 countries globally, about 150 cities, if I read it correctly. So as part of that, in The Hague, here, in this beautiful morning, we have gathered with all the Indian diaspora and also the well-wishers of India. So we are just doing about 2 to 3 kilometers of run in this beautiful park, just to cherish ourselves and give a message of developed India down the line, and that's what the Prime Minister Modi is actually envisioning. So we are grateful for here and seeing the momentum, so we are excited.
We are all, I think, working together with one vision and one objective, and that is to work together here also with the global community for this Viksit Bharat 2047.
It was good because he was first and I was second. And I came even faster than my dad.
3 events, 1 message. Service as a force for progress. Mark Limburg reporting from The Hague, the Netherlands for DD India.
And still to come on DD India NewsHour. RBI Monetary Policy Committee to announce policy decisions today. India's Sumit Antal wins gold medal in F64 javelin throw. And Mahanavami, the final day of Navratri, being celebrated today with utmost fervour and devotion.
This week on Defence Dynamics, from the rails of India's heartland, Agni Prime raises, carrying a nuclear edge on the move. As the nation strengthens its shield with Anant Shastra QR SAM regiments, a new layer of defence takes shape. With the Kaveri D1 engine igniting India's aerospace dreams, the future of power is truly homegrown. this Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and on to some business news now. Now let's take you to Mumbai, where Reserve Bank of India Governor is announcing the decision of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. And Asian markets took some positive cues from a stronger overnight close on Wall Street. Japanese markets lagged as a Bank of Japan survey showed improving confidence among major local manufacturers. The outcome keeps alive market expectations. The central bank could raise interest rates again as soon as this month. Now on Wednesday, Japan's Nikkei dropped 1% after an 11% surge the previous quarter. South Korean shares rose 0.7% after data showed a rise in exports at the fastest pace in 14 months in September. Taiwan's shares also gained by 1.3%. China and Hong Kong markets witnessed are closed for the National Day. Mainland China markets will remain shut until the middle of next week. And South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said on Wednesday the country's defense budget for the next year would rise by 8.2% to $47.1 billion. Lee made the comments on South Korea's Armed Forces Day, highlighting the importance of self-defense capabilities, adding that peace would only be possible on a strong foundation of security. Lee said next year's defense budget, with its significant increase, would be focused on investing in cutting-edge technology like drones and robots. Lee said that peace would only be possible on a strong foundation of security. He said the country's defense spending was already 1.4 times North Korea's gross domestic product. And U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau stressed the critical role of skilled workers of foreign companies investing in the U.S. at the first working group meeting on new visas for South Korean companies. The meeting by senior State Department and South Korean Foreign Ministry officials aimed at improving U.S. visa programs for South Korean businesses were held in Washington on Tuesday. Now, U.S. supports investment that drives American reindustrialization, strengthens the alliance, and enhances shared prosperity. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. India kicked off the Women's World Cup campaign in an emphatic fashion, defeating Sri Lanka in a rain-curtailed opening encounter in Guwahati on Tuesday. Put into bat first, India lost early wickets but managed to put 269 runs on the board after the match was reduced to 47 overs due to rain. Now, the host lost 4 wickets for 4 runs in the space of 11 balls, including 3 in the 26th over, which saw them slip to 124 for 6. But Amanjot Kaur and Deepti Sharma produced a match-winning partnership of 103 for the 7th wicket. That saw Sri Lanka's target revised to 271 from the same amount of overs. They made a promising start but halted by brilliant bowling performance by Deepti Sharma and Sneha Rana, which saw them bundled out for 211 runs. And India's star para-javelin thrower Sumit Antil added another golden chapter to his career at the ongoing 2025 World Para-Athletic Championship in New Delhi on Tuesday. Antil clinched the gold medal in the men's F64 javelin throw with a record-breaking performance. Already the world record holder at 73.29 meters, Sumit threw 71.37 meter in his 5th attempt, a mark that not only sealed his 3rd world title but also eclipsed his own championship record of 70.83 meters set in Paris in 2023. Now, India's Pardeep Kumar, also competing in the same event, finished 5th. And world number 1, Carlos Alcaraz clinched the Japan Open wearing down Taylor Fritz in the final on Tuesday to win his 8th title of a spectacular year and further cement his status as a dominant force in the men's game. Victory also earned Alcaraz revenge for a stunning loss of Fritz at the Lever Cup team event in San Francisco this month. The 22-year-old had endured a scare after jarring his foot on his Tokyo debut last week, but was beaming as he celebrated his 67th match win this season and 24th tour title overall. And India's Vinay Pratap Singh Chandravat clinched the bronze medal in the trap event at the ISSF Junior World Cup in Delhi. In an exclusive conversation with DD India's correspondent Narayan Singh, he said that the competition at the Junior World Cup was highly challenging and he's now aiming to secure medals at senior level events.
Another fantastic performance by the Indian shooter at the, we can say that the international level, and right now I am joined by Vinay Chandravat, who won bronze in the shotgun event. Vinay, congratulations for winning a bronze medal. So the competition was quite stiff. It was neck and neck. We saw that the competition was going even from the Spain and the Croatia, the way they were fighting.
India also.
So how you look the level of competition here?
It's very tough here in these conditions. Earlier it was so raining badly, and I can't believe I have hit 25 and in this day 48 total and in final. So it is very good feeling for me and proud moment for my nation.
Take a look at the Indian shooting journey this year too. In the Asian Championship in China, we won 99 medals. Here too, we are leading the medal table. So how overall you look the performance of the Indian shooter at the various international events?
Yeah, this is increasing day by day in the rifle and pistol events, but not that good in shotgun. But now in skeet, we have won 2 medals, silver and bronze, and in now trap also. So, and tomorrow's mixed team will see more medals over there.
You have been here at the international level, the Junior World Cup. So what was the learning curve for you here? What you learned, especially the level of competition was very tough?
I've learned a lot of things, how to handle pressure and how to focus on the targets. I can't just believe that happened today. So it was so a proud moment for me and my nation.
So what's the next target after winning a medal at the junior level, Junior World Cup? So what are you eyeing next?
Now the next my target is national and trials, then again World Cups and World Championship for the next year.
So definitely Vinay here targeting the senior level competition and also the World Cup and the World Championship, the way he performed here, hoping that definitely he will turn the color of the medal in the upcoming events. With camera person Vishwabandhu, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
And the upcoming Delhi Half Marathon 2025 is set to feature one of the greatest athletes of all times, with Olympic legend and global icon Carl Lewis named as the international event ambassador. Though the organizers of the event on Tuesday said the 9-time Olympic gold medalist, American sprinter and long jumper will flag off the race from Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium on October 12th. Carl Lewis's legendary athletic career continues to serve as an inspiration for athletes worldwide. Throughout his illustrious journey, he competed in 4 Olympic Games from 1984 to 1996, securing a record 9 gold medals, the most by any rank and field athlete in Olympic history. And today marks the Mahanavami, the 9th day of Navratri, celebrated with devotion across the country. Devotees offer prayers to Goddess Durga in her fierce form, seeking strength and protection, while special rituals and Kanya Pujan ceremonies are held in households and temples. Well, on the occasion of Mahanavami, with the morning Aarti performed at Jhandiwala Temple, Delhi, devotees worship Ma Siddhidatri, the 9th form of Goddess Durga. She is revered as the giver of supernatural powers and blessing, seating on a lotus and holding a mace, discus, conch and lotus in her 4 hands. It is believed that by worshipping Ma Siddhidatri, one attains wisdom, strength and success as she fulfills all divine aspirations of her devotees. Well, also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi took part in Durga Puja celebrations on Ashtami at Kalibari Temple and Durga Puja Pandal in CR Park, Delhi. He offered prayers to Goddess Durga and extended prayers for peace, prosperity and harmony. In Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, a grand Ma Durga idol with 108 faces and 221 hands have been crafted for Navratri, a tradition since 1998. The Central Force's eyes can open and close, attracting devotees from across UP and Bihar who flocked to see and click pictures of this unique statue. Mudiyali Club in Kolkata, West Bengal celebrates its 91st Durga Puja with the theme Atma Shuddhi or self-purification. The pandal made of clay and terracotta and the traditional Dakar style idol attract large crowds, offering a serene and spiritually enriching experience. And in Asansol, the D Block Durga Puja Pandal celebrates movies from movies, while Gandhinagar United Club's 51st Puja recreates Varanasi's ghats. The events feature cultural programs, charity initiatives and attract large crowds managed with local support. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Purana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.